Hey guys, this is Mike from Anchor, and today I want to talk to you about what to consider when looking to add a cable machine. You could be adding a cable machine to your home gym, your garage gym, your strength and conditioning facility, or your PT practice. And today, what we're going to dive into are a few different factors to consider before you make that purchase, before you make that investment. So let's jump right in. So the first thing you're going to want to consider is versatility. And what that ultimately boils down to is how many different movements and exercises can you perform on that cable system. You've probably noticed already, a lot of cable systems have settings at high, medium, and low, but you're also going to want to ask yourself, are you going to have enough space to perform those movements? If you want to perform a press or a squat or some kind of pulling movement, are you going to have the room required to do that at those different settings? The additional thing to consider is the types of movements that you're going to be performing. So right off the bat, a lot of cable machines allow you to do slow, controlled movements like rows, which have become a hallmark of cable training. Also, you're going to want to ask yourself, can I perform isometric movements so I can work my core and build my core strength? And then finally, can you perform fast, powerful, explosive movements so that you can build that speed, that explosiveness that can really take your training to the next level? A lot of cable systems don't actually allow you to perform those movements because the momentum of the cable stack can not only create an unsafe training environment, but can also damage the investment that you've made. Now, compare that to the Anchor Pro. The Anchor Pro allows you to perform movements in all sorts of different planes. If you want to move side to side, you're able to do that. If you want to move up and down, you're able to do that. If you want to just pull that system right out, you're able to work at that plane as well. Additionally, slow controlled movements are going to be no problem. You can perform them easily, and you can perform those rows, which have, like I said, become a hallmark and a benchmark of great cable training. And then finally, you can also perform fast, powerful movements and those isometric movements to build your core. And you can do it all knowing that you're working in a safe training environment and you're not damaging the investment that you just made. The next thing to consider is the amount of space you have. If you own a home gym, you own a garage gym, a strength and conditioning facility, or a PT practice, you know that space is at a premium and you have to fight for every square inch that you have, and you have to maximize it to its fullest ability. A lot of cable systems are big and bulky because of the way they're set up. They have to be able to accommodate a lot of different training methods and a lot of different training settings and a lot of different resistance settings. And because of that, they are going to be big, they are going to be cumbersome, and they are just going to take up a lot of space and mess up the flow of a home gym, garage gym, facility, or a PT practice. Now, compare that again to the Anchor Pro. The Anchor Pro, with all of the resistance plates mounted on it, is only about a foot in length. And it weighs, believe it or not, only about 9 pounds. It's going to take up a very small amount of space, can mount right to your squat rack, a pole, a post, a beam. So it's going to go right onto something, and it's going to free up a lot of space and a lot of area for you to really work on all those movements that we talked about earlier. Whether you want to do shuffles, pull downs, presses, rows, different things like that, because it has a small footprint, you're going to have ample space to perform those different movements. And the final thing you're going to want to consider is the resistance. You've probably seen in a couple instances when you go from gym to gym and you use the different cable systems that one cable system seems to be easier to move than other cable systems. And that's because a lot of traditional cable machines measure their resistance in either 2-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratios. So let's take this example. You go to Gym A and you're moving 100 pounds of resistance, and their cable machine measures resistance in a 2-to-1 ratio. That would mean take 100, divide it by 2, you're training with 50 pounds of resistance there. But let's say you go to Gym B and their cable machine is measuring resistance in a 4-to-1 ratio. You've moved that 100 pounds again, but now divide it by 4 and you're only actually training with 25 pounds of resistance, which causes a lot of confusion and a lot of ambiguity and doesn't really allow you to train as precisely as possible. Now, compare that to the Anchor Pro. with the Anchor Pro, our resistance is measured in a 1-to-1 ratio. Essentially, what that means is what you see is what you get. Or as I like to call it, we're honest about the amount of resistance that you're moving. So when you load your Anchor up to 50 pounds, it's just like moving a 50-pound dumbbell. When you load it down to 10 pounds, it's just like moving a 10-pound dumbbell, which makes your training and the way you track your training that much more precise and allowing you to increase your strength gains with a level of certainty that you just couldn't find anywhere else. But let's say you want to jack that resistance up and you want to train more. All you would need to do for that is take 2 Anchor devices, stack them on top of each other, and all of a sudden you've doubled your resistance. Or let's say you have a setup like this, where you have an Anchor on each side of your sliding track or each side of your squat rack. You can now take a bar, put them together right here, and you can do different presses and pulls with double the resistance and knowing exactly to the pound the amount of resistance you're working with and you're training with. So with an Anchor unit, you're gonna be working with 65 pounds of 1-to-1 resistance. If you need a visual for that, it's gonna be like picking up a 65-pound dumbbell or a 65-pound kettlebell. The equivalent resistance on a traditional cable column with that would be closer to 130 pounds with that 2-to-1 resistance ratio. And then if you're requiring a little bit more resistance, you can take 2 Anchor units and that'll give you 130 pounds of 1-to-1 resistance, which on a larger cable column would put you up north of 200 pounds of total resistance. So the total resistance that you're gonna be working with needs to be a consideration and a priority when you're choosing a cable column. So to wrap up, we talked about 3 critical factors to look at when considering purchasing a cable machine. We started with versatility. How many movements, how many different exercises can you perform on that cable system? Then we went into space saving. Are you maximizing your space to its fullest ability in your gym, your PT practice, or your home gym? And then finally, we talked about resistance and understanding what is the maximum amount of resistance that you're working with, and is it necessarily being honest with you as well. So finally, if you have any questions or you'd like to learn more about Anchor, our cable systems, or just see how it could benefit your PT practice, your home gym, your garage gym, your strength and conditioning facility, feel free to reach out to us at hello@anchortraining.com. You can also find us on Instagram @anchortraining. We're always looking forward to direct messages, or you can just go to our website for more info. That's going to be anchortraining.com. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon.